want to welcome all of you to our May board meeting. It's a couple of beautiful days, so we're glad you are here this evening. We're going to have a Pledge of Allegiance. Excuse me. Can we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item 3.03 is our superintendent summary, so I'm turning it over to our fearless leader.
Thank you, Dr. Towers. Welcome to tonight's Board of Education meeting. We're glad you're with us, either here in person, it's good to see some people here, and then also online. A couple of Thursdays ago, we had one awesome night. Both St. Charles High and St. Charles West both had their Evening with the Stars and the Night of Excellence award evenings, where both schools did a great job of celebrating students and staff. I want to thank Donna, Heidi, and Daniel for attending, and I also was thrilled because I actually, even though it was on the same night, I got to both events, so that was pretty cool. It was great to see our staff and students celebrated. Staff Appreciation Week was last week, May 2nd through the 6th. The district administration and the Board of Education showed our appreciation with a special treat that was delivered to all of our staff members. We know it's a small token, but we just appreciate our staff so much for all they have done this year to help our students succeed. Also, April 29th, which was a Friday, we had our Journey to Excellence tour. That's all of our outstanding awards. We stopped by schools to surprise some of our staff members with awards. It was exciting to spread some good news to some very deserving staff members. We congratulate all of our outstanding award winners, and they were shared their names and the awards on social media, all of our social media platforms. It is my privilege tonight to introduce you to our new Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum and Instruction, Dr. Earl Draper. Dr. Earl Draper is our next Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum and Instruction, and he comes from the Fort Zumwalt School District, where he serves as a principal of DeBray Middle School. Before that, because he's rejoining the family, right, Earl? Before becoming home. Before that, he was at Hardin Middle School as an assistant principal for us as well. And we are truly excited for you joining our team and look forward to your leadership. But then again, it's because somebody's leaving us. I think we talked about this last month, but again, Dr. Tormala is leaving us to be the superintendent of Wentzville. We wish her all the best, and we're excited about Earl joining our team, and we're still a little sad that Danielle's leaving. Right, Danielle?
I'm sad too.
Earl, anything you want to say to everybody? To put you on the spot? Earl Draper, everybody. Yeah, the one clap from last night, you're right. That was awesome, I like that. I'm gonna talk about that in just a second. Also, we just recently, on kind of a sad note, received a letter of resignation from Dr. Darrell Diggs, and we will have that, that will be in consent agenda, but he sent an email out to staff today and students, our head principal of Hardin Middle School. We are sad to see Dr. Diggs move on. We got a letter of resignation today, but we wish him all the best and thank him for serving and leading Hardin for over the past 2 years. We will be moving quickly over the next couple of weeks to find our next leader at Hardin. We are confident we will be able to be successful in our endeavor and find what is best for the students and staff, and we truly believe the best is yet to come at Hardin. Thankfully, COVID numbers have been pretty decent. We probably average the last 2 or 3 weeks, 5 to 10 cases here and there. I'm just gonna go off my notes. Julie, if you wanna add, or Rodney, but it just seems like we've got people who there's mild symptoms, that they get over it pretty quickly and they're back with us pretty quick, but we've kind of hovered between that 5 and 10 range. Anything you wanna add to that, Ms. McClard?
Closer to 5 most of the time, but yeah, I think we're at like 4 or 5 right now.
Okay, all right. Just a quick note, thank you to our Board of Education for continuing to leading through the pandemic. We're at 3 right now, so that's great, and we're excited to be moving forward. And speaking of moving forward, our litigation with the Attorney General's office has recently been dismissed by the judge presiding over the case, so you can clap for that, one clap. we are really thankful that this process is over and we continue to be focused on doing what is best and right for our students and staff. Spring sports activities are going strong. District and state playoffs are upon us. We always say, go Pirates, go Warriors. And then last evening was a great night for Lewis and Clark, wasn't it? It was. And that's where the one clap comes in. So it was an end-of-the-year event, and it was, 2 years? We haven't had it since pandemic? And it was awesome. How many people do you think were there last night, Dr. Stewart? There was a lot. Thank you to the 3 board members that were there last night. Appreciate you being there. And it was just an awesome time for all 5 county school districts to come together and celebrate kids at Lewis and Clark and all they've achieved in 2 years. So that was exciting. Quick note too, the SCSD Foundation Board will be heading out next week on May 19th to have their awards, and they give out scholarships and grants to our teachers. And I have in here, actually in my notes, the schools that they're going to, but maybe I shouldn't say that. Danielle, should I say the schools? Because it might be a surprise. So I won't say that, but be ready to go because we got some teachers out there. There's some great grants and some that will be awarded on May 19th, and we have a great list of teachers that will be getting that awards. It's really funds going right into their classroom projects, which is awesome. We thank our SCSD Foundation Board, which does a great job. We've worked hard to prepare for this meeting tonight. We have important items and presentations on our meet and confer agreement. Transportation, Mr. Rooney Hertz is in the room. That's always a crowd favorite. Rooney, we're glad you're with us. Policy changes and readings, that's always exciting. And then Career Technical Education Program Review, Dr. Tormel and Dr. Stewart will be tag teaming that, and then also our district financial report. So as summer break gets here closer and closer, people, I want to encourage everyone to keep going strong. We are almost there. We will do it together. And I just thank our community. We have challenges just like everybody else, but we are blessed to be in a community that works together and does everything we can for our kids. I tell you, we have the best staff. So just want to shout out to everybody. I know it's been a long year. We're getting through it, and summer is on its way. So thank you, Dr. Towers.
We're ready for item 3.04. It's our board communication. Ellen, do we have anything? Okay. Item 3.05 is audience comment, and we usually read and we'll read that.
Okay.
Little,
All regular and special meetings of the board shall be open to the public. Since the board desires to be a good listener and be responsive to the community, persons desiring to address the board may do so during the time so allotted on the agenda and according to established procedures. During the audience portion of each board meeting, patrons are invited by the president to speak for or against any proposal on the tentative agenda or on any other school concern. The individual is asked to identify him or herself, limit comments to a few minutes, and avoid discussing personalities. The president reserves the right to limit the number of presentations and/or length of comments. At the discretion of the president, patrons may be recognized at other times during the board meeting. The board is very interested in audience comments. According to board policy, members cannot respond during the actual meeting. The board will listen to and research all audience comments. If necessary, additional follow-up will occur through district administrators.
thank you. Our first card here is Brendan Kearns.
Good evening. I'm Brendan Kearns, the president of SCEA, exclusive bargaining organization for the district. First, a belated congratulations to Daniel Hewitt on his election to the board and Donna Towers on her re-election. Also, thank you to Marita Malone for her time and service to the Board of Education. Last week marked Teacher Appreciation Week, so SCEA would like to extend a big thank you to all the educators making a difference in children's lives every day. Finally, we would like to wish everyone an enjoyable and safe summer and look forward to seeing you all back in the fall.
Thank you, Brendan. Rooney Hertz, you're up.
Hello, Rooney Hertz. I think you all know me by now. I'm president of the St. Charles Transportation Education Association, which represents bus drivers, monitors, dispatchers, fuelers. And just to say that we ratified our agreement a week ago Friday. It was long, arduous, tedious trip, but we got there and got it all done. I'd like to thank my team members, Mike Schiller, Tom Hickman, Rodney O'Neill, and Jill Woolridge. We all put a lot of time into this, and I just want to announce also that I am also retiring this year after 12 years of school bus driving with the district, and I just want to say I'm very proud to work for the district. All my kids have graduated from St. Charles school system. They're all college graduates. They got their masters. They got good jobs. But it all started right here with this, So I just want to say thank you. Okay.
Starts at home, too, then. Brian O'Meara.
They didn't make us read our meeting. All right, yes, thank you. My name is Brian O'Meara. On behalf of my wife and myself, I would like to have a huge thank you to all the teachers, therapists, and paraprofessionals who have worked with our 4 children. We have 4 children in the district. One of them is definitely special needs, and I understand that he can be very difficult at times, so we want to put a big shout out to them. The staff at the Early Childhood Center, Harris and Hardin, have done amazing jobs of helping our kids learn the skills they need. We will miss Dr. Holt next year and wish her the best for her retirement. Throughout the many obstacles this year, one thing remains true: the teachers here love and care about their students, and we appreciate them. So I just want to reiterate what you said with the teachers. Thank you very much. And then I also thank the board for the opportunity to come up here and speak. I came to the board tonight with a question, and this is just weighed heavy on my heart. As a parent, I kind of want to know the direction of our school board and our school and our district and where we're going, okay? As many of you already know, there are many concerned parents in the district about many different things, and they want to know who's steering the ship, so to speak, of our school district. From the outside, sometimes it seems like whoever's steering the ship is more concerned about politics than education. This seems to be highlighted more and more every time you turn on the news, even within our own county. The most recently with Winsfield promoting questions on AP tests that are politically driven, focused on how a party would side on a particular scenario, which painted nothing but dissension between an already divided nation. I was privileged to meet so many people over the last couple months, and the common theme they wanted in the district was transparency. They want to know what's going on in their children's education and answers when it comes to things like CRT or DEI and your stance on gender identity in our schools. They want definitive answers, not generic answers that dodge the truth. Many of them didn't even know that DEI was already been implemented into our district. We also know that this has not been communicated to the parents, and when a theory is implemented into the lives of our children, many find that deceptive. Words like indoctrination get thrown around when someone starts teaching a theory due to the goal of changing a mindset of an individual. Many believe that this will be a source of division between our students. Maybe you can also clarify that if there was truth to there being a black-only student council. And I want to know if this was part of CRT as well. Once again, with the lack of knowledge and information from the implementers, whoever's pushing this ideology, parents' concern is growing fast. I made the comment before about the political aspect of this. I said our education system was not ever created or intended to create political activists, but to teach students how to develop truth by being able to critically think by the tools they have learned in this school. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Item 3.06, do I have a motion to amend or adopt the agenda?
I make a motion to adopt the agenda.
Do I have a second?
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So the agenda is adopted. 4.01 is our consent. Oh, I always do that. We always pause here, which I never do and forget. So before we start the exciting business portion, we take a break and allow those of you who have nice things to do on a nice evening like this to take a break. So we're going to give you about 5 minutes if you'd like to leave and attend to other responsibilities. We thank you for coming, and off you go. our consent agenda. For efficiency, the school board utilizes a consent agenda. Items placed on the consent agenda are routine in nature or are among the many decisions that the board has already determined are in the domain of the administration. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I motion to approve the consent agenda.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right. Item 6.01 is our meet and confer agreement for transportation. Do I have any discussion on that, or do I have a motion to approve? And Laurie seconds? Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, that's passes. Item 6.02, we have policy changes. This is our second reading, and there were quite a few of them. We discussed them at the last meeting, but if there is further discussion?
I have two. I guess first, just to confirm, I think the update to JCBDA was just to match the meet and confer agreement for the teachers that was approved back in March, correct? I think all of those changes? Yeah, I know. I'm just saying it out loud too, to be open with it. Okay. And then for the lactation rooms and changes for stuff, was there anything since then that we have further developed as part of our plan or anything? Because I just know I'm afraid it's going to come up on us quick.
Or it's something that we've continued to look at. But in terms of anything that developed in the last 4 months with this, no. I mean, there isn't. Our principals, our facilities, they're well aware of what needs to take place. And it'll be a constant conversation, for not only until this obviously gets adopted, but as actually implemented on July 1, but moving into the summer, June, July, et cetera, and working with principals in their buildings to give us to help us meet the requirements necessary. But I will say, though, is that we're going to do everything we can, as we have since forever, to work with mothers that need to use this. And so, if there's an issue, we're going to do everything we can to make sure that they're taken care of. But the preparation has started, and nothing new has developed with that.
Any other discussion? Do I have a motion to approve the policy changes as presented? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? That passes. Item 7.01, Career and Technical Education Program Review.
Thank you. Chris, there was a link to presentation right above that. Could you click the presentation link instead? Thank you. I was trying to be tricky there. I'm going to invite up a couple of people because we do a lot with career tech education in the district. And so we have several individuals who are going to be here tonight to help speak to different parts of it. So we have Dr. Andrew Stewart, AKA the mayor of Lewis and Clark Career Center. He's here to help join me. We also have Tina Lauer and Jessica Evans with us as well, and they're going to help speak to some PLTW and high school coursework as well. And I'm going to help take the lead on CAPS because Erica Land was not able to be here tonight. So we're going to kind of tag team the presentation a little bit. So if, Chris, you want to run to the, or I'll take, if that'll work, I'll take it. We'll see if it works. Yeah, perfect. Yay, look at that. Awesome. Okay, so with our Career Tech program, we have various different components to it. All of you are very well versed in Lewis and Clark, and Dr. Stewart will tell us more about it. So we serve as the fiscal agent for Lewis and Clark Career Center. So we serve students not only from St. Charles School District, but from across the county. Same goes for our CAPS program, the Center for Advanced Professional Studies. Then within our comprehensive high schools, we have a wide variety of Project Lead the Way courses that start as early as elementary with elementary gifted classes and feed all the way up through high school. And then we also have a wide variety of family and consumer sciences, business education, marketing, industrial tech courses, and the like that are offered through our high school programming as well. When we look at our alignment with our district goals, we have a lot of wording in our goals around rigorous curriculum, focusing on life skills and future readiness, career readiness, college readiness, and we specifically called out pieces like interview skills, job and career options, trades, STEM careers, et cetera. And so everything that we talk about tonight really ties directly to those CSIP goals. So the Missouri School Improvement Program is our state's program on determining accreditation status for school districts. Next month, we're going to bring to you the report on the new MSIP 6 program that's going to come our way. We're still learning from the state what that's going to look like. It's still being decided upon, and information is kind of coming out. On May 20th, we're going to have another webinar to learn more. But from the pieces that we have learned, we do have a high emphasis on career tech. And so I'm going to let Tina talk a little bit about that.
Hello. So this is very similar to the MSIP 5 guidelines regarding, they called it College and Career Readiness in MSIP 5. They are now changing it to call it Success Ready. And there's a lot of emphasis on industry recognized credentials, which are IRCs, and then the career technicals. So for this slide, I just pulled out the part of the Success Ready guideline that had to do with the career technical. It has a lot of other letters and numbers and so forth. But it can be earned through the IRCs, or it can also be a combination of IRCs and college readiness assessments like the ACT, AP, and so forth. And then the industry recognized credentials is actually something that they've been doing at Lewis and Clark for a long time, and we started actually implementing those into some of our core classes when I brought you a couple of years ago the new business marketing and the information technology. We built in the industry recognized credentials of the Adobe certifications, and then this year they are implementing a new industry recognized credential in one of the FACS classes. So we're trying to also add that opportunity for our students. And right now, these are the IRCs that we are providing for our students. And Lewis and Clark is still working with DESE on some other combinations for some of their courses. That they have something called stackable credits now, where they can take little parts of different IRCs, and then it counts as one big IRC for DESE accreditation. And then again, the Adobe Certified Professional, and then the new one is going to be for the career pathways in teaching through the FACS department, and that is starting this spring, next week.
And so, as I mentioned, we have several facets to this: Lewis and Clark, CAPS, PLTW, and some high school classes as well. So our programming and our conversation today are really going to focus around Lewis and Clark, CAPS, and PLTW. Before I turn it over to Andrew, because he's really good at the microphone, I am going to pull out a couple of things that aren't actually in this presentation but are in our report. So in the report, we outlined for you all of the courses that we have that are career tech courses. And I just wanted to highlight for you the new courses that have been implemented within the last 2 years. At Lewis and Clark this year, this year. This year we started our law enforcement and criminal justice course. That's been a great thing for our students across the county. It's a really cool program if you ever want to go see it. It's very interesting. With Project Lead the Way, we've added engineering design and development. We've also added biomedical innovation over the last 2 years. Within family and consumer sciences, we added career pathways for the teaching profession 1 and career pathways for the teaching profession 2. With business ed and visual arts, we added business applications, visual design and Photoshop, multimedia with Premiere Pro and After Effects software, and digital media, which covers InDesign. And then with our cooperative career ed work programs, marketing and internships, we added sports and entertainment marketing, travel and tourism marketing. And so that's just an idea of just within the last 2 years, courses that we've added to our high school programming and then also at Lewis and Clark to expand our options for students.
All right, well, good evening, everybody. So yeah, this is obviously our more formal goals, but essentially what we're trying to do is find sophomores and juniors to apply and enroll from around the county and find the best fit for them, because we're ultimately judged by how our kids get placed in either the workforce or in school and something related to what they studied at our school. So it's ultimately what we're trying to do, and these are just many of the steps that we do all the time to make that happen. You know, we talk about middle school students more aware. You know, we have in the past, like, had hard and 8th graders come over every year. They couldn't come over the last couple years, obviously. Mrs. Ayer last night asked me about district kids, and I said, you know, we haven't had the Hardin kids over. So I sent an email tonight that they'll get tomorrow to Mr. Curtin and Ms. Teller to see if they wanted to bring some over this year yet, whether it's a select group or some. Because we have a lot of kids that say, I was there in 8th grade. So that's how I knew about it. So that's our big goal. I mean, our goal is just to showcase it to kids, to make sure. My biggest thing is I don't want to meet somebody who is 18 or 19 and says, I wish I would have known about it. You know, that's really what drives us. Give everybody a chance. We're not for everybody, but we try and give everybody at least to know about it.
So for CAPS, we have several program goals that we've had in place since we started the program within the district. We started the program 5 years ago with our district in Orchard Farm, and 4 years ago we expanded countywide. So 90% of the CAPS associates will be proficient or exemplary in all of the professional skills areas that we assess with our students. We want 100% of our business partners to deem the usability of their client projects or products that they meet or exceed their expectations, and that we want 100% of our global business entrepreneurship and our technology solutions associates to be accepted into an internship within a business in that area. And then when we look at our students and our parents and our clients, we want to make sure that all of those satisfaction surveys are highly rated. So on a 5-point scale, we're wanting a minimum average score of at least a 4.0. And then 100% of the CAPS curriculum will be relevant to each industry standard and include a focus on the 21st learning century skills, plus including those employability skills like attendance, punctuality, integrity, trust, time and project management, and professional dress, which we know are oh so critical skills for employability, for soft skills, getting your foot in the door, those types of things. And so we are very proud that all of our curriculum is written with people from the industry working alongside our teachers to make sure that it is up to date and meeting the needs of the industry standards.
I have a question for Dr. Stewart.
Yes.
How many of seats are allotted to St. Charles School District students, and have we met the full complement? And the second part of my question is there room for, do you have students, qualified students that you've had to turn away?
Thank you for your question, young lady. I heard this question last night, so I was able to do a little bit of research. So the answer is, the way we allocate spots is based on sophomore and junior counts throughout every high school, public high school, okay? So right now, St. Charles West has approximately 3% of every sophomore and junior in the county. St. Charles High is 4%. So together, St. Charles School District is 7% of the whole county. So I looked at, and it's been 7%. This is next year's the third year in a row that it'll be 7%. And so we're projected next, so what that means is St. Charles High, we have 21 spots, okay, reserved. And at St. Charles West, we have 16 spots. But next year, we already have enrolled for next year 26 kids from St. Charles High with the 21 spots. And we have 34 kids enrolled at St. Charles West for the 16 spots. So we'll have about, based on projected enrollment next year, we'll have, again, about 12 or 13% kids coming from this district. It's been pretty much that going back the last few years since I've been there. You basically figure 80% of the kids come from the big three districts, 15% come from this district, 5% come from the farm. That's it. And then the answer to your other question is, I think there are certainly occasions where a qualified kid, where there's no room, you know, but we work real hard to find something that would be related. For example, everybody wants to be a welder, okay? We don't have as many welding spots. So a lot of times we'll fill the machining program by looking at the kids on the welding wait list, make sure they know they can do math, and we bring them in and show them. They've never even heard of machining. And so that's a way that but most of the time, I mean, like right now, we have kids dropping and adding, because kids just change their mind. So we pretty much run through every qualified kid. I mean, almost every kid gets a shot. But I can't say 100%, there's not some kids sitting out there. What an excellent question.
Thank you for asking. So next up, we have Project Lead the Way program goals, and I think Jessica is going to speak to that for us.
Good evening. Really quickly, we're hearing a lot about all of these different types of learning programs for our students beyond the general classroom. And Project Lead the Way, the program goals are definitely geared toward that, so our students have the opportunity to not only learn the standards, but apply them in a simulated real-life experience, but they're also able to take that learning further. So the program goals for Project Lead the Way are to provide transformative learning experiences for K through 12 students, and as Dr. Tormala stated before, we are starting to take some of these skills down to the elementary level, particularly in our gifted program. Providing students with real-world learning. So the students, for instance, I oversee the biomedical piece, and it is remarkable to see what these students are able to do and what the tools they're able to interact with, like actual, simulated bodies, but they're working with blood, and they're working with other parts of anatomy that other students may not be able to partake with. So it's very intriguing. And then I think the most important piece of this is encouraging students to explore the fields in engineering, computer science, and biomedical.
And to add to what Jessica said too, I'm actually shocked nobody has actually pulled some of the bills that come through my office for this program, because we purchased some really bizarre things. But really awesome things that make it really engaging for the kids. They love it.
So, first of all, I didn't get to thank each and every one of you for voting on my contract again. I like to do that at least once a year. On behalf of my family, we appreciate. I think it would be shocking if they didn't think bills were getting paid, so I appreciate that. All right, grants and federal funding. Essentially, Lewis and Clark gets most of these grants. Some of the grants go to the high schools as well. But if you think about Lewis and Clark and the budget, about 2/3 of Lewis and Clark's budget comes from tuition, coming straight from sending schools. So 85% of it coming from outside of the district. And then the rest of it is from state and federal grants. That's how we run. So you can see we dropped a little bit, but that's because of Wentzville. But the nice thing is they wanted to keep their Perkins grant, which usually flows through the Career Center. So we just raised tuition the other way. So they're still paying their fair share, and maybe even some more. And Danielle knows all about that. We're very transparent. So. Then we go to results. Let's see, what do we have here? So these are just some basic data that we keep. You can see that our enrollment continues to go up. We're projected to be, at least right now, to start at 500 kids next year, which is getting pretty full. Attendance continues to, I mean, the COVID year, we were down to 92.5, but we like to, you know, you can't earn a certificate in our program. I should have said that last night, unless you had at least 94% attendance. So they're there. Usually they want to be here. And then the achievement data is a technical skills assessment, or the IRC. You know, about, you know, it's typical. We're usually above 80% in terms of kids passing those tests, but the state didn't do them 2 years ago, but I think we're at a higher rate. You know, we're just finishing our testing this year. I think we were at 80%. So we did go up there. And then again, we always have a high percent. We have the highest percentage of IEP kids in any school in this county. So that's pretty typical, third. I think the year before that, we were actually closer to 40% that's on there. So we have a lot of kids, special needs kids. And then the placement data, I talked about this last night, those of you who were there. Essentially, it stays pretty steady. About half the kids go straight into employment. About 40% go to a 2 or 4 year school. You can see a lot of the rest we don't know, or they go into the military. And then about 3/4 of the kids stay in the same or a related field to what they studied at Lewis and Clark, which is a really key indicator. The state loves to see a high percentage. That affects our state funding, really. So.
What's the difference between the employed and working / studying in related field? It's mainly because we have enrolled in college.
So like apprenticeship, right? Okay. So if you go into an electrician apprenticeship program, you're technically in school, but you're getting paid, and you're working 40 hours a week.
Right, so it doesn't fall into the same bucket.
So we call that working.
Okay.
If you go to State Technical College or Rankin or Forest Park or St. Louis Community College, that's definitely school.
Okay, so that's commingled with going into like a 4-year like university outside of CT
Right,
and everything
right.
else?
So 2 or 4. So because we have, we have a health occupations program, which is a lot of people going to nursing. So they're going to, some of them are going to St. Charles Community College, obviously, but because they have a really good health program. But some of them are going to Missouri State or Mizzou, and they're going into nursing. So that's 4-year college. We have computer programs. A lot of those kids are going to 4-year colleges. But most of the skilled technical sciences, like the traditional trades, these days they're going straight to work or into apprenticeship, which is the same thing as work. Some of them are going to a 2-year college, like State Technical College. It just depends. I mean, it depends on the program. Like machining, you can get pretty advanced at State Technical College, and you can get a really good job out of there. Auto service technology, like James Seifert, who's a graduate, or going to be a graduate, he's going to Rankin. He's going to mix his time with the Blue Fuse dealership in Rankin, because you can get an entry-level tech job, but you need more education. But like Rankin or State Tech, they're not going to teach our electricians anything that they don't already know. You know what I mean? So it just depends. So.
Do you have any like partnerships and stuff like that, like with Blue Fuse or Rankin or anybody for?
Oh, they come around. Trust me, they all want to be partners. And I think we're actually starting to partner with GM next year. So that's true. So the next slide is one I'm very proud of. We've spent so much time on the front end of trying to get kids the right fit to be successful at Lewis and Clark. We have a very comprehensive admissions process that's very fair. It's very holistic. And you can see that the kids we're getting are staying, and that's really pretty amazing. It can't be 100%, but I like that we're doing that. So that means we're doing something right. So I appreciate that. It's a good stat.
And so for CAPS, we still are relatively a new program as compared to Lewis and Clark that has been around now for decades. During the pandemic, that definitely impacted our ability to take attendance and things like that. In 2020, with the pandemic, we started with 120 students. However, through that second semester, we did drop down to 98 students. In this school year, 21-22, we have 125 students enrolled. And for next year, we are very excited because as of right now, we have over 300 students who would like to be a part of this program. So we have emerged out of the pandemic slump that we saw ourselves in, and we have very healthy wait lists. And I'll talk about some ideas later that we have on getting more kids into the program. Healthcare, of course, has always been our number one seller to our students. We do have 2 teachers in the healthcare side of things, so we're able to take more students. And then with global business and technology solutions, we have 1 teacher each for the program there. And PLTW.
So for the enrollment trends for PLTW, you can see that our computer science program took a dip last year due to the fact that we didn't have a whole lot of virtual kids that were able to do the program because especially in our engineering where it's like a lot of hands-on things. So for computer science, we dipped, but then this year we started to come back. The AP Computer Science A, because they have to have computer science principles first, it has gone down to 0 at this point, and there just hasn't been enough interest in going from the computer science principles to the computer science A. And so we are trying to increase that computer science principles course so that more students will then be able to take that AP Computer Science A course.
And just so you know, for some of these courses, when we start talking PLTW, they really are specialty area courses, and our numbers do get pretty low. Just so you know, we get very creative with our teachers on how we can continue to offer them. So if we have students who are interested in taking them, we do our very best to work across district to be able to offer those sections. And so our teachers are working very hard at recruiting, and we're hopeful, kind of like with CAPS, we saw a dip and it kind of came back. We're hopeful that we're going to start seeing more students want to take the course.
And then for engineering, you can see that it again took a dip, and then we did not offer the engineering design and development this year. Just due to low interest in that course. It is the capstone course, so they do have to have already had the other 3. So it does limit the amount of students that could actually take that course too. And then for biomed, you'll see that, that again, the dip happened, but then for most of the courses this year, they started to go back up a little bit. So we are hopeful, and we are going to start, well, we're going to talk about it in the part at the end, but we are planning on doing a lot more promotion to our students, and we're also going to be starting promoting it more at Hardin to get them started in the right at the 9th grade level so that they can actually make it all the way to those capstone courses in 12th grade.
And I think that it's really important to understand with Project Lead, the way when she talks capstone courses, this is like a 4-year progression of courses. So when students, like looking at this, this year for biomedical science, we had 45 students that were in the principles of biomed. And then as you kind of look, each year we drop, because it's pulling from that number of students, and so it's going to usually be less each year. With some of this, even with conversations with CAPS, we were having at our last CAPS executive meeting conversations with some of the capstone programs with Project Lead the Way. Is there a way that maybe we could even look countywide to help support some of that? When our smaller schools, like Orchard Farm and St. Charles, we have very small numbers. The bigger school districts typically have enough to be able to handle that a little bit more. But that was a conversation that we started last Friday also, just to see if there are other options to meet those 4th-year capstone kinds of experiences for students.
Okay, evidence of positive. So we have a lot to be proud of. We can't fit it all on here. So, I mean, we obviously have a very robust construction trades program. You're familiar with the subdivision we closed out last year and the one we're starting this year. We did very well selling that house in a hot market, and hopefully we'll have another house to sell. It's probably going to be late summer, beginning of the school year before it's ready because of some infrastructure challenges there. I mean, just coming into our school today, you'd see lights off in some of the offices and hallways because the electricians are actually swapping out the LED lights, themselves. And so it's kind of neat to see that going on. Josh Schaefer was here, and he was complimenting how nice the job they did. So that's what the kids love to do. They did a Habitat for Humanity house, and two of our programs are going to do it next year. Danielle already talked about our law enforcement program, which is pretty exciting. I was at the St. Charles City Council meeting last week where they introduced a bill to donate a 2015 police Blazer, anyway, four-wheel drive to our program. So that's going to be kind of neat. Not that we're going to drive around town and arrest people, but it'll be a good tool for them to practice in.
And Andrew, you might even want to talk, like when we talked about grants earlier, one of the grants that we received last year allowed us to outfit the law enforcement program with the simulator.
Right, so this is COVID money, okay? It's a very expensive simulator. It's a 380-degree, three-screen simulator where it's scenarios, like walking, I have school shootings, they have all kinds of awful things that you can go into, and the kids learn how to, react, and you draw your weapon. You're telling the person on the screen to drop their weapon, and they might drop their weapon, or they might try and shoot you or shoot somebody else. And Dr. Seifert tried it out one time, and he got the bad guy and hit the bad guy and didn't hit the pregnant lady the bad guy was holding. So
I was actually very successful in the first round, and the trainer said, wow, that was great. I surprised myself.
Yeah.
The second exercise didn't go so well.
But you think of law enforcement, that class, there's a lot of academics, right? They have to learn a lot of the Constitution and things like that. But there's a lot of hands-on, and they do a lot of CSI stuff, and actually they competed pretty well at state for the first year. There's now 20 programs in the state. We were the 19th program. So.
But I think to that point, what Dr. Stewart has a great strength as is taking grants and funding and making sure it's used specifically and directly to the needs of the kids, and to make sure we get those hands-on approaches and learning experiences in the classroom. And I just want to make a quick little invitation. Some of you have been there recently and have seen Lewis and Clark, but if you haven't, make sure you contact Dr. Stewart and myself. We'd love to get you over. A couple other board members in the county came by recently and checked things out, and we want to make sure our board gets a chance to see it as well. So
I think all board members should see Lewis and Clark.
It's an exciting place, and kids are doing great things and learning awesome skills over there. So if you want to go by, let us know. Thank you. Sorry. Please keep going, Dr. Stewart.
So, and then Skills USA is our really our one student organization that kind of unites the whole school. And the whole thing in our school there's three parts. Every class, it's all about, do you know it, can you do it, and do you make a good employee? And that totally falls into what Skills USA is, a supportive organization. So we do competitions, we do leadership competitions, hands-on competitions, and then technical competitions. And so this year we did have 46 kids go to state. We had double that, more than double that, do it at the local level. 22 students medaled. 10 students got first place in the state, which is the highest we've ever had. One of the students is Charles, we call him CJ. Is it Nenert? He's from St. Charles High. He's just a great kid anyway, so he's going to go to Atlanta along with 9 other folks and a couple of instructors and compete there. So we're very excited about what's going on over there, so
We're
thank you.
very proud of the students and the instructors there. With CAPS, with the healthcare strand, there has been such high demand for that program, but especially this year, the increase in applications has been off the charts. So one of the things that we also discussed at the CAPS board meeting last week was the potential of providing semester options for students in healthcare to then increase the amount of students that we can get through that rotation. We're gonna continue that conversation. That would not be for next year. We're having conversations for the 23-24 school year. And so we're gonna continue that conversation to see what would that look like for students. And since we have 2 teachers, it's possible that we would continue a year-long program and then also have other options that might be semester-based. So more conversation to come, but we are looking for ways to expand. With global business and entrepreneurship, the last 2 years, part of their project has been to completely organize, plan, and pull off a golf tournament. And both years, they have been very successful, raising $32,000 one year and $28,000 the other. And that money goes directly back into the CAPS program as well. And as you know, networking, connections, being able to make cold calls, those are all skills that are critical if you want to start your own company and be able to be in business. And so those associates have done a really great job. And then our technology solutions strand, their kind of outside the box project that they worked on this year was the Build My Future event that was held a couple of weeks ago at the Family Arena. And that brought together trades and industry from the St. Louis region and students from across St. Charles County. And the tech solution students, all the CAP students were involved in some capacity, but the tech solution students in particular were really helped with branding and social media and communication and getting the word out. And so they did a really nice job with that as well. And then the data that you see at the bottom of this slide looks at the positive results and high levels of achievement for the professional skills with students that were proficient or exemplary in the different areas. And you can see that we have some areas that we have like creativity and innovation and time management. Those are areas we're still working on a little bit, but we really have overall very high scores. And now, Project Lead the Way.
Hello again. So I talked a little bit about the positive impact that the students or this program is having with students in regards to biomedical, since that's the one I oversee, but I also know with the other 2 strands, the students are not only able to take the information or take the knowledge and apply it to a real life, a real world situation, but if you get the chance to visit one of these classrooms and you get a chance to talk to these students, the excitement level that they have around the topic and to be able to, they will not just simply articulate like what the standard is or what they're learning that day. They get excited about, for instance, I was talking to a student, they were talking about coagulated blood and telling me why it was doing that and what particular situation this might occur. And it wasn't because they were learning just about that. That was part of an entire conversation and it was natural for them. So these types of programs are really getting our students to not only get interested in these fields, but take that knowledge and apply it, just like we want with all of our students in all of our classes to do. So we have had this, as it says up there, for the past, we'd have 4 levels of courses, engineering, biomedical, and 3 levels of computer science for 5 years. And they do provide the students with these hands-on learning opportunities in all of these fields. So we did add 2 professional organizations in 2020, 2021, HOSA, which is Future Health Professionals, and TSA, the Technology Student Organization. So these programs or these organizations allow students to, again, understand and get involved a little bit more in those particular fields, like Dr. Tormala said as well, being able to network and learn about the industry just a little bit more. Thank you.
And so, of course, we always have opportunities for growth. So Dr. Stewart will talk about the areas that we can grow at Lewis and Clark.
Well, I mean, to physically grow, we need more space. So, right, we filled our last available space last year with the law enforcement program taking over the state tech space. Really, I think every time Lewis and Clark has grown, like physically, there's been some state grant money that's come out, and so we'll be looking for that, looking for those opportunities. You know, our goal is just to continue to do what we're doing, which is just to try and find the best match for kids and expose them to our school. And we know we're not for everybody, but we're for a lot of people, and trying to find where they fit and hopefully give them a future. So that's what we're working on.
And so with CAPS, I mentioned that our enrollment has taken a really strong uptick this year with, 302 applications. So we'll be completely full. We're talking about certain classes where we could maybe extend or expand the number of students. But right now, we would be completely full with 156 students and a long waiting list. So that's a good place for us to be in, to make sure that we're always full in that program. And that's been very intentional. This year, there were a lot of specific strategies that were put into place so that we're picking the right kids, that associates know what they're getting themselves into. So it's not a surprise to them. We're shadowing, things like that, where the students are getting into the program and really have a good idea of what it's going to be about. And that helps spread word of mouth, and it also breeds excitement with the students. So we're excited. And we're also continuing to look for ways to expand fundraising. And we're hopeful that in the near future, we will also be able to add additional strands to CAPS. Areas that they're looking for are high demand career fields like engineering, advanced manufacturing, things like that. So that might be the next strand that we could add to CAPS in the future.
And for PLTW, we are going to continue to promote PLTW to our students at Hardin. We actually are going to be having a new teacher at Hardin who is specifically going to be a PLTW teacher in addition to our district-created Intro to Robotics. That course hasn't been able to run due to staffing, but this year, starting next year, we have a new teacher. She will be teaching Intro to Robotics. She'll be teaching a new computer science, PLTW computer science for innovators and makers, and she'll also be teaching medical detectives. So one from each of basically the strands to get them interested in the engineering, biomed, and computer science. And then promoting that, bringing the PLTW teachers from the high school to promote those to our 8th grade students. Also, we were thinking being able to hold a parent information night about Project Lead the Way and the opportunities from taking those courses and the EOCs that are attached with them can lead to college credit through Missouri S&T. And then there's other colleges that also accept PLTW for college credit. And then we would like to increase our numbers of students taking the AP exams for the computer science courses, again, trying to build those courses up through getting them excited again in 8th grade. And then expanding our opportunities to share our projects through, I didn't know who sneezed, through parents, families, and local districts. Before COVID, we did have a robotics night. We had a STEM fair and stuff, and we want to be able to bring those back and get our families in and see all the great things that our kiddos are doing.
So with that, we'd like it to open it up if you have any further questions.
Mine's like back on slide 3. Sorry.
That's okay.
I wanted to
Let's see
get
what
through
we
all
can
of the
find.
stuff in the report. So when we talk, I don't have CSIP memorized, so sorry.
That's fine.
But for the PCI 4C1C, I know, I'm terrible, right? For Parent University, I get emails about that because I'm a parent within the district. When we talk about like the curriculum and the stuff that it goes into there, can you help kind of educate me a little bit more of like what Parent University does, how we try to engage people, and what the success, how much engagement we have, and what we're sharing? Yeah.
So Parent University started several years ago. It started before COVID, and we actually had like an actual morning at Jefferson where we had people from the community come in. We had people from Lewis and Clark talking to the parents. parents could pick their own sessions, and it was basically showing them all of the things that we have available for them in the community and in the district. We had our AP facilitators at each high school talk about the AP courses and then all of the opportunities. We had one of the counselors over at Lewis and Clark talking about all of the options available at Lewis and Clark, and then we had CAPS there, and then we also had other opportunities there too. So basically we're trying, this year we have started Parent University again, but it's been, a slow bringing back, and it's through Zoom. And it's this year it was based on what the parents wanted when we sent out a survey. And so at this time, parents wanted more on anxiety and screen time and how do I help behavior. So that's kind of the Parent University that we set up this time. But we're hoping to then eventually bring that back and then bring in our families and again, show them how to, what's available here in our district. So that would be the community part of that in Parent University.
Well, and with that too, and it wasn't specifically Parent University, but Tina talked a little bit about like the STEM nights, the robotics nights. That was definitely a night where we were showcasing student talent, but we were bringing our families and community partners in that helped support that. And so those were really special evenings too for students and for community and parents to be able to get a small snippet of the STEM education that's happening through our classes or through our clubs.
How do you think the engagement that's going back up versus, I guess, how it was before and then drop down? How do you think it's back to being close to where it was and hopefully better? Or?
I think we won't be able to find out until next year because, again, the enrollment, we have to look at the enrollment, and we really will be doing that push for we want more students in our programs. And hopefully next year we can bring back those family events and really push for and show them what's available. I didn't, as a parent, sometimes I didn't know what was available. And my kid would enroll for high school courses, and I didn't even see what they enrolled in. I was like, wait a minute, how do you enroll? Without me knowing about that. So wanting them to know, hey, these are really cool courses that your students might really like.
Most of it like to try to come like through email and stuff, or what's our like communication pattern?
We send it out through our communications guru over here, Chris, and he sends it out. We send out through email, through phone blasts, through whichever means we can to get the word out.
And Facebook.
Yeah, he does Facebook and Twitter too, right? Twitter.
That's a good source.
Oh, I didn't know about Instagram. Now we have that too.
Thank you.
So, yeah.
And we do have a committee of parents who usually help inform that too, just so you know. I'm just throwing it out there.
I've never been invited to that. I don't
Well,
know
we
if
would,
had
I
enough
mean,
pull or
if that's a
anything yet.
passion area of yours, we can definitely make that connection for you. So
You are formally invited now.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Let's talk.
you
Do I
can
have
be
an
our
envelope? Does it
board
come on
representative
letterhead?
to that.
There's no envelope, we just invited you.
Oh, okay. It's a verbal invite. Got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I just make one comment? The best thing about our CAPS and our Lewis and Clark classes and programs we have, that we still get to work with Dr. Tormwell.
You do. And I'm excited.
And it's a
I get to
collaborative
come
approach.
back home every now and then.
And that's awesome because,
It is.
again, Dr. Stewart and his staff and just does a fantastic job, Erica Land, and it's we're the fiscal responsible for both of those programs, and we take great pride in the teachers, and we feel like those are our programs. But really collaboratively, it's the whole county, and we work so well together, and it'll be great to have Dr. Tormwell still part of that process. So.
I will be very excited to still.
And then
be
when I
part
talked about PLTW and all those things, I want to thank those two ladies too. At the beginning, I just said it was these two presenting, but thank you so much. You always do a great job presenting, and thank you for all you do for not only to lead, but also to support the great programs we have going on. So great job to the two of you. And to our teachers who do a great job. So.
Well, and I have to give a shout out to our teachers because all of our teachers are very passionate. When you get into some of these specialty areas like this, like if you want to be a PLTW teacher, you have to go through 2 weeks of very intense coursework and pass certification tests in order to be certified to teach it. And it is a little bit cutthroat with our teachers of like, nope, that's gonna be me, it's not gonna be you, that's mine, no way, no how, is anybody else going to get trained in this because these are my babies? And it's great to see how much ownership our teachers have, and they connect with the kids on such a great level. They're able to get kids into the program and get them inspired, and it's a really great thing to see.
I forgot to say, we got a grant to start cybersecurity at St. Charles High School. So we are going to be starting the PLTW cybersecurity program next year, and hopefully that will then spark it over at St. Charles West as well. Of course, St. Charles West students could go over to St. Charles High and take it. It's just going to be offered there. So it can be cross districts. So, but we're excited about that we got a $10,000 grant from Lockheed Martin to support that program.
The creative and hardworking preparation of the leaders in all of these programs. And it's hard to get this balance because as the excitement builds, and now you have 300 students who want to participate in CAPS, for example, and yet there's only slots for 120 something of them. Now there's the waiting list to get in. And so there's that disappointment of, I want to get in. And then we have to start building the program more. We get the excitement going, but that gets ahead of building more. And I'm blown away by what these programs offer for students to have choices, real life choices to see. It used to be, what am I learning in school? Well, you know what? You're learning how to be an adult and how to make good choices and how to solve problems. These are great.
The students are very impressive.
Yes.
Very impressive.
Throughout, in our district and throughout the county. Any other comments or questions for this? Do I have a motion to approve the Career Technology Education programs?
I move to approve the Career Technology Education Program review as presented.
Is there a second? I second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, that passes. Item 8.01, the board always has a representative on the Lewis and Clark board. And so, you heard Lewis and Clark? Oh, well, well, we have a designated board representative on the Lewis and Clark Foundation. Two, I'm sorry, but it rotates. It's a 2-year kind of a slot. So we need to we need one this year. Laurie is currently on the Lewis and Clark board, but it's now the Lewis and Clark Newfoundland Place Homeowners Association board. She's graciously said that she would like to continue in that. Oh. Help me out, Andrew.
I don't mean to correct the record, but
Yeah.
but I'm going to correct the record.
Okay.
I can't help it. So, President Towers, you are actually on it,
I was,
and Dr. Malone was on it,
yes.
because both of you are original, and me,
Yep, that's how old we
are
are.
original people that are in this Newfoundland Place. So, and that's recorded in the Recorder of Deeds office on the original
Wow, 100
thing.
years from now,
So,
they're going to see.
so anyway, so.
You made history.
So that's on our current. The other one is
now
is-
defunct.
we're out of it.
So,
So I'll back away now.
well, no, let me make sure then, for the current Lewis and Clark Newfoundland Place Homeowners Association, you still need one board member or two board members?
We need two. So you're currently on it. Dr. Malone was on it. She's not on it anymore, obviously. So we have an opening. We have one opening.
Okay, well, Laurie's in.
Welcome back.
So, yes.
We meet once a year at the most in the fall.
Can we nominate two people off of this one thing, or we don't nominate you because you're already technically on it? We'll just pull her in.
That one's, I'm still on.
Oh, this is
and
the
then
separate one?
the
Okay.
new one comes on, and then.
You're confusing me with the amount of things that are going on here, so I'll just be quiet.
So I move to elect Lori Gibson as the board representative to the Lewis and Clark Newfoundland Place Homeowners Association for a term of 2 years.
A second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And opposed? All right, Lori is, thank you, Lori, for being on the board.
Congratulations, Lori. Dr. Stewart, thank you.
Okay. We need a-
Thank you so much.
All right. Item 8.02 is policy change reading. This is our first reading. If you have any questions over this one, Charles could maybe answer them, because this is about investing surplus funds.
And this is just a cleanup, because you remember I shared that with you last month. This is just cleaning up the titles of the investment officers. Those had just changed just slightly, and so this is just a cleanup of the policy.
Yeah, nothing else really changed on other than that title. So we'll vote on that next month for a second reading. But at 9.01, we are in full anticipation of our district financial report.
For many years, I thought that everybody was excited about my report until Dr. Malone several years ago pointed out I was just standing between her and her nightcap. So I've tried to be as brief as possible. I do have a couple of updates. The state budget, last month I was telling you, was still in flux. It was passed by the legislature. It is not signed by the governor, but it is done at the legislative level. And so the governor of Missouri has broad authority to use his line item veto. So we don't know what the governor will do, but there's not an anticipation right now that he will need to make budgetary restrictions. So we're very hopeful that he'll sign the budget as is. It includes full funding of the foundation formula. It includes, which Dr. Stewart, I'm surprised didn't mention, $20 million in a grant program. It's a competitive grant program for upgrades to career and technical centers around the state. There are 57 of them. So we are one of the largest, as you might guess, in our county. And so we hopefully will be able to apply for and gain some of those funds. And then the real big jewel for the state education budget is, for the first time in 31 years, the state is going to fully fund their obligation for district transportation.
Which is big.
That is
So
very
that's for a compact geographic district like ourselves. We're only 17 square miles. That's still a good chunk of money. For some of our neighbors who are running many, many more miles, that is a really, really good thing for them. So that will make a big difference for us. Just as a for instance, I can tell you this year we're anticipating about $750,000 in transportation aid. Next year we will anticipate about 1.9 million, 1.8, 1.9. So that's going to make a significant difference in the amount of money. And so somebody said, does that have to go into the transportation budget? Well, technically it goes there, but that means that then we back out local dollars that we've been putting into that budget. So overall, it does help the overall budget. It's not strictly restricted in that way. So those are the kind of the highlights of the state education budget. The state is flush with cash for the first time in 25 years at least, and has more money than they've had in a long, long time. A lot of it is pandemic-driven, but sales tax has also come roaring back from where we were early on in the pandemic. And so Missouri's economy, driven primarily by St. Louis and Kansas City, has really fired back hard. And so that's good to see. Sales tax is very susceptible to the economy, though. So inflation will threaten people's ability to spend, and more than their ability to spend, it may threaten their desire to spend, right? Because the spending is not only just can I do it, but it's do I feel like I can. So we'll have to watch where that goes, but right now that's a really nice piece of the state budget, as well as we anticipate sales tax returns to the districts. It's collected locally and then distributed back on a per pupil basis by the state of about $1,250 per pupil for next year, which is really good. This year we're at about $1,100, so it's a fairly significant increase there too. So those are the good pieces of the budget. The legislature is still in session for about 22 more hours, so cross your fingers. This is kind of crazy time. We still don't have congressional maps, so maybe they'll get something done on that before they're out of session tomorrow at 6. A couple of just project updates. We are already started on the Monroe Phase 1 project and Success. We gave small portions of both of those buildings to the contractors early because we know that the scope of those projects is such that if they could get in early, that gives us a better chance to be completed and ready to come back to school on time. Both of those projects are with the same contractor, Wachter Incorporated, and so we had our first construction meetings with them on Wednesday, yesterday of this week, and things seem to be moving very well. Jackhammering in an elementary school during testing does have to be coordinated, but everybody's playing nice with one another, so no jackhammering during map testing. Lewis and Clark and St. Charles High both have fairly significant HVAC projects this summer. But as you recall as a board, we bid those projects very, very early, specifically because of the significant lead times on HVAC. And so we're really not anticipating any issues with getting those projects completed. And so all of that is also very good news. And then, Chris, if you could pull up that budget, previous, current, updated. That, I know that's a little bit hard to see, Board, you can pull that up in your own computers if you'd like, but look at the net summary page, if you would, and then scroll to the, net summary, and then, yes, that one. And so if you can see there's 3 highlighted columns, blue, red, and yellow. Red is the current year we're in. Yellow is projected. And so we just updated revenue projections today. So on line 4, total local revenues of $70 million projected for next year. Most of that, almost $57 million, is local property tax. You have not set a property tax rate, but that's our estimate based on this year's property tax rate. I don't believe it will be any higher. It'll probably drop a few pennies to get to that number. And then $6 million of that is that previously mentioned Proposition C sales tax that's coming from the state. And so that's nice to see that $6 million figure jumping into that piece. County revenue is very flat. State is bumped up. Most of the state increase is that transportation note that I mentioned to you. And then federal dollars, that's a really rough estimate. That's probably the piece that you will see change the most between now and next month when we actually bring you a formal budget to adopt. I just put a placeholder in there. Our federal program specialist, Nidra Woolfolk, who was here last month, she and I need to get together and really kind of look at the items that she believes will pull down from our ESSER reserves for next year. The feds don't pay you anything up front. You have to spend the money and then ask for it, and they pay you in arrears. And so we'll just have to make an estimate of what we think we'll have spent and be able to request back. And so that's not a real hard number at this point. So the grand total on revenues right now looks to be something between $95 and $96 million in revenues for next year. Expenditures, if you drop to the very bottom line, looks like we're running a gigantic deficit, $111.7 million in expenditures, but $14 million of that is projected bond funds that we actually booked as revenue in last year's budget, and so then we'll be spending it. So for this year and the next couple, you'll see a significant overall deficit spend, but the vast majority of it's going to be in your capital projects fund. And so if you backed out that $14 million, we're within $2 million of being balanced. $2 million is 2.5% of our budget. We annually leave about 1.5% unspent. So really, we're pretty close. And I think by the time we present that budget to you next month, we'll be able to get a little sharper on both our revenue projections and our expenditure needs. And so I hope to be within that 1.5% margin with what we bring to you next month. But that's kind of where we're headed with the budget. That does include all of the negotiated raises for our employees and projections, which, as you might imagine, include increased utilities, increased food and transportation costs particularly. Those are big areas if you watch economic news that are driving inflation, are fuel costs and food costs particularly. So we are looking at those areas as we update the budget and prepare for next year. Any questions about that kind of budget snapshot preview? Okay, then the report for this evening is pretty standard. If you look at month end for April, I just highlighted a couple of areas of spending. We're spending a little over $4 million in salaries this month. That is about $3 million in certified salaries, almost $1 million in classified. And so that means we are in this season of the year when we're spending more than we're taking in. We get the vast majority of our local revenue in December and January, and then from there we spend down until we get back to that time of the year again. And then overall, if you look at year end, which is the next page, you'll see that we add in the balances we're carrying from the bond issue, which then gives us a significantly inflated fund balance because we're carrying that $36 or $7 million in unspent bond funds yet. And then finally, our budget projection, ending fund balance, it actually dipped a little bit. It looks like it's going to be about 18% according to this figure, which is the next page, Chris. But again, Ms. Woolfolk is going to request a significant tranche of federal dollars to cover some of our learning loss staff positions that we have been paying out, and that will probably hit our books in June of this year and kick that ending fund balance back up to closer to that 20% that we'd like to see it. And that's my report, unless you've got questions.
And this is one of the lowest ending project balances, so.
It is our lowest in a while, yes, ma'am.
Any discussion on or questions? Charles, this is your chance to hammer him one last time.
I told Donna I'm not counting days, I'm counting board meetings, and so we're down to very low single digits.
Yes, we are. All right, do I have a motion to approve the district financial report?
I make a motion to approve the district financial report.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? That passes. Item 10.01, do I have a motion to adjourn? Do I have a second?